Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Jay in the Bay YouTube channel. Of course, you see it. We talk all things 49ers on this YouTube channel. The 49ers have had a pretty good season, I would say. Ending the year, basically, we've won 11 straight games so far, 7-0 in the division, including the playoffs. First time that's been done since 1997. So the 49ers are riding high, man, with the addition of BPCMC. You guys know it. The fans are super, super excited. And of course, I am as well. The sky is the limit for this team. Huge shout out to everyone that can watch this stream tonight. I know it was kind of a late edition. It wasn't planned out days in advance, but it's all good. I have a special guest with me tonight, and he will join the show very shortly. But feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to Jay in the Bay, especially if you're into 49ers news, NFL news. I bring that to the channel. And I'm bringing on my guest first. Let me say, what's good? We have Roberto in the building. Appreciate you tuning in to the stream tonight. We got Jesus, Niner Gang. Absolutely. What's good? Appreciate you tuning in to the stream. Jesus, I wish I could go to the game, man, but unfortunately that won't come to fruition. I will not be going to the game, but man, that's going to be a hell of a game to attend. Cowboys, Niners rivalry, no doubt. But let's bring on my guest. For those that have been watching me for a while, you may remember this gentleman. We did a live stream the exact time last year when the Niners and Cowboys played in the playoffs. So it's a pleasure to link up with him again. Marcus of Bluff City Cowboys. Let's bring on this gentleman. What's good? How you doing tonight, Marcus?
Man, I'm good. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, it's good to link up with you again. Yeah. It's exciting that the 49ers and Cowboys rivalry continues. But I got to ask you, man, how was the holidays for you? You know, Happy New Year as well. Yeah. How was your holiday season, man?
All right. Well, before I get started, I want to say fan base, blame me. I reached out to Jay earlier today, and I said, you know what? We got the rivalry game again coming up. You got some time to squeeze me in. And Jay, I appreciate you just being accommodating and setting this thing up last minute.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure, man. I appreciate when we opposing fan bases meet up, treat each other with respect, and talk about our respective teams. Like it's all good, man. It's all good. I'm glad I was available, and I'm glad you're available. So it's all good, man. All good. But yeah. So how was your holidays, and Happy New Year to you, man?
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too, and everybody watching. Good holiday season. My birthday was actually yesterday. So
hey, happy birthday, man.
Unlike last year when you guys spoiled my birthday for me, we played the Niners on my birthday at Sunday. This year I had a good good birthday gift. So feeling good. Looking forward to seeing what happens this week in the upcoming game.
Hey, man. Hey, I think it's going to be a very, very intriguing game. Two explosive teams on both sides of the ball. It's going to be very, very intriguing. I got to say, what's good to Corey Davis. Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. He says, hello, Jay in the Bay. Hey, I hope all is well, KD. Appreciate you tuning in tonight. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Just talk about their season so far. Like, what were expectations for the Cowboys coming into the season? Have they met expectations, exceeded expectations so far? Obviously, they got a huge road win against the Buccaneers. I believe that was the first time that's happened in 25 years?
30 years.
30 years. Wow, road win.
92.
Wow. So that's a huge accomplishment right there.
Yeah.
So
shouldn't have been wrong, but yeah.
Yeah. So what were the expectations coming into the year, and just like a brief summarization of the Cowboys season and obviously playoff victory?
Yeah. So fan base, I'm not a delusional Cowboy fan that you see on your sports shows and in the annoying media comments. I'm a realistic guy, so I'm gonna give it to you the way it is. Going into the season, we were all concerned. I mean, we didn't know what our receiving core was going to look like. We lost several starters.
Mm.
Um, we didn't get to see a lot of continuity. And then on top of that, we lost our starting left tackle, and
Mm.
the rookie that we drafted to come in and be our guard had to basically step in and fill in the blind spot for our quarterback coming out of a small school where he was the most penalized player in college football.
Mm.
So going into the season, we had a lot of stuff to be afraid of. And then to add on top of that, we get to week 1. The offense looks bad, which is kind of what we expected. Quarterback goes down.
Mm.
So season did not start off good, but the backup came in. He kept the ball rolling. Then Dak came back, and we kept the thing moving. So definitely was a season of a lot of ups and downs, but they exceeded everything we expected, considering all of the controversies and the hurdles we had to overcome.
Hey man, I appreciate that insight on the Cowboys season. Obviously, this is a 49er channel, so we don't, we don't watch the Cowboys every week. So
Exactly.
I appreciate that, man. As far as the 49er season overview, man, it's been an incredible year. It's definitely been a roller coaster season. Obviously, heading into the season, it was all about, number 5, Trey Lance, starting and getting his opportunity. Unfortunately, he got hurt in the second game of the season against the Seahawks.
Mhm.
And hey, we got Jimmy G. And that's another thing that was with this offseason. Do we sign Jimmy G? Do we trade him? Do we release him? And fortunately, we ended up keeping him because he got us. He kept us steady. He kept us steady. I'll say that Jimmy G did. And then Jimmy G gets hurt. So now we are on our 3rd string quarterback. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Obviously, he's had an incredible season. The guy has his jersey in the Hall of Fame. It's just an incredible Cinderella story. I swear a movie will be made about Brock Purdy. And he's continuing to impress not only his teammates, the fans. I mean, they're already selling Brock Purdy jerseys. And I think the person that he's impressed the most is Kyle Shanahan. It seems like with Kyle Shanahan's play calling, he believes in Brock. He's not going to take the ball away from Brock, kind of like what he did with Jimmy G several times throughout the playoffs. Brock Purdy, he struggled a little bit last week against Seattle. And Shanahan's continued to allow him to throw and make plays with his right arm, and that's what he continues to do. Obviously, throughout the season, there's been a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball. Losing our starting corner, Emmanuel Mosley, losing Jason Barrett to season-ending injuries. I told you earlier about Elijah Mitchell. So we've dealt with injuries, and to end the season on a 10-game winning streak is incredible. The Chiefs really turned our season around. I would say, well, 3 people. The Kansas City Chiefs, because they mollywopped us, right? They beat us pretty bad. John Lynch pulling off, I think, one of the greatest in-season trades in 49er history, and you could even say in NFL history, with
top 5 trade.
Getting Christian McCaffrey. Are you kidding me? Now, there was a lot of talk during the season. Oh, we gave up too many picks for a running back, but he's just not a running back. This guy, all pro. I think he was a Pro Bowl snub this year. And pulling off that trade, getting CMC, it really revitalized this offense. And then, of course, number 13 under center. I mean, I think he makes this offense much better. And we continue to see it, pretty much for the last, how many games? He played 6 games so far.
6,
he came in the second series of the Dolphins game, and the Fins weren't the same. After they played the Niners, they haven't been the same, the Dolphins. But you could say that about a lot of teams. We had an interesting record. It was 0-15. The opponent who played us the previous week, the next game, they lost 0-15. I never even heard of that stat before the 49ers. So crazy stat. So obviously our season. Go ahead.
You know what's funny? The day after the game last year, I asked you, what do you think about Jimmy G? Do you think he'll be on the team? You said there's no chance he would be on the team. So I followed you guys during the offseason. I saw all the stories about he was working out on a separate field. He had to bring his brother in.
He didn't have a playbook.
Right.
Shanahan did not give him a playbook.
Yeah. And for him to have to come in and play and keep you guys afloat is just it's a crazy story. You never hear that in the NFL.
It speaks to Jimmy G's professionalism. Like, obviously he's not the greatest quarterback, we know that,
Yeah.
but it speaks to his professionalism, and the guys in the locker room really like him. And when he was called in to play, he was ready to play. Fortunately, he already knew the playbook, but there were a lot of factors with that Jimmy G. Obviously, he had the injury. He had the big cap number, which teams didn't really want to trade for. So fortunately, Jimmy G and his representation were willing to basically restructure the contract, and Jimmy was able to start some games for us and keep us afloat. So, but I think winning 11 straight games, the 49ers are definitely the hottest team in the NFL right now. I think the defense is still number one. We've given up more points than we're used to in the regular season in the last few games, but the difference is this 49ers offense has really, they've stepped it up. They're on another level right now. Throughout the season, the defense was the one carrying the team. And now it seems like it's the offense, and the offense is fully healthy at this point. I mean, we got Mitchell back, we got Debo back, CMC's healthy. Everyone pretty much along the offense is healthy. So I think we are peaking at the right time, and I don't think there's another hotter team in the NFL. And I just want to mention, if there are any Cowboy fans out there who are watching, I appreciate you watching the stream. Make sure, if you haven't, make sure you follow Bluff City Cowboys on all social media platforms. He's got IG, Twitter, and YouTube. All of those links are in the description of this video. Make sure you check it out. And if the people in the chat are excited for 49ers and Cowboys playoff game, make sure you smash that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to me as well. And we will be reading comments throughout the show.
Yeah. Go ahead and make your money, Jesse. You got a $5 comment.
All righty. Let's see. We got a few. So we have Blue True. Hot diggity dog. I appreciate that $5 super sticker, Blue True. Appreciate that. Appreciate you joining the stream tonight. KD as well. Hot diggity dog. KD says, Bluff City Cowboy, who has the best season? Your starting running back or backup running back?
Oh, no question. It was Tony Pollard. And that's a question we got later in the show, but that's going to be one of the differences in the game. Pollard has been a career 5-yard a carry guy. I don't know why our team refuses to use him consistently. Even this year, when he got more runs in the backfield, he still continued to have 5 yards a carry. He got 1,000 yards. Our starting running back didn't get 1,000 yards. And he also had 9 touchdowns along with a lot of receiving yards and catches. So great season by Tony Pollard. That's one of the things we're going to talk about this offseason. If we're going to keep him, how much it's going to cost, and what's going to happen with Zeke if we do.
Is Pollard a free agent, unrestricted or restricted?
Unrestricted.
You gonna want that bag, man.
I know. and Zeke already got the bag, so we got a lot to talk about this offseason. A lot of stories.
So off the top of your head, I didn't ask you this before the show. What's Zeke's contract situation look like? Like, we know he got big money, a few seasons ago, and he hasn't really lived up to it. But he's got a lot of carries on his body at Ohio State with the Cowboys. Every year he's kind of, his effectiveness has gone down. He's not the explosive running back he used to, but I wonder what's the Cowboys cap situation with Zeke. And, if you guys cut him, do you owe him any money, or what's the deal with that?
So the bad news is Zeke has a $16 million cap hit. And for a running back, that is ridiculously high, unless you're CMC or Derrick Henry.
Right.
The good news is this is the first year he has no guarantees. So at this point, we're going to probably go in like we did with DeMarcus Lawrence this offseason and let him know, hey, big fella, we got some guys coming in. You see that we can replace you if we need to. Let's trim a couple million off of that base salary so that we can keep this team going. And don't make us answer the question on what'll happen if you say no. That's pretty much what we did with DeMarcus Lawrence this offseason. And he came in and signed on. He took a cheaper contract and extended for 3 more years. So that's kind of what I'm expecting for Zeke. But when he signed the contract, you remember the whole Cabo thing.
Oh, yeah.
With his money. So that's going to be one of those storylines to be aware of what happens with Zeke during the offseason, because they're going to ask him for some money.
And do you think the team, if you were Jerry Jones, would you keep Pollard and sign him to a long-term extension?
Most definitely. You have
Yeah.
to. I mean, the kid is only 25 years old. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. You hear all these misconceptions about, can he handle a full workload? He's 215 pounds. I mean, him and CMC are pretty much the same size. So it's not like he's just a scat back. He can give you 15, 17 carries if he needs to. Yeah. And if you look around the NFL, outside of Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs, maybe Nick Chubb, nobody's carrying the ball 20 times anymore. Yeah. So people who say that still live in 1995 football. This is a new NFL. No running backs are getting full workloads anymore.
No, I agree. I mean, it just seems like the best thing to do is have, multiple backs that you can use, and paying backs big money. It's not really something that we usually see now. Obviously, CMC and Derrick Henry have been most recent. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Josh Jacobs. I mean, he had a hell of a year. I think he set the Raiders season record for most rushing yards in a season, I believe. And I think his 5th-year option was declined.
It was.
So it's going to be interesting.
He's a free
unrestricted. So that'll be very, very interesting.
The crazy thing about the Raiders is the Raiders are probably the cash poorest team in NFL. So you can play around with the salary cap as long as you got the money to put it on the front end and spread it on the back end. The Raiders don't even have the money to put it on the front end. Yeah. So they don't even have enough to franchise tag them, because I don't think they have $13 million they can put into a bank account to hold for them. That's going to be really interesting what happens.
Unless they, cut some players or ask some players to restructure. But that'll be interesting to see what they do, and also what quarterback they bring in. But I got to say, what's good to a few people in the chat. We have David McNiner in the building. We have G12. What's good? Appreciate you guys tuning in to the stream tonight. Quick question for you, Marcus. David McNiner says Dak had 15 INTs in 11 regular season games. Are you concerned?
I don't want to be political, but I would say yes and no. I would say yes, because that's a lot of interceptions. I mean, I think he's probably led the league, or if not, he's number 2 behind Josh Allen. But I would say no, because, again, like you said, you guys don't watch our team. We don't really watch yours. Of those 15 interceptions, I can say for certainty at least 6 of those were catchable balls that a receiver dropped and it went right into the hands of a defensive guy. So it's 15 and he earned them. But technically, only about 9 of them were really Dak Prescott made a bad throw.
Okay. Hey, we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. I know in last week's game versus the Buccaneers, and I don't want to get your thoughts on that game, but Dak had all time to throw in the pocket. The Buccaneers didn't provide much resistance. And I got to admit, Dak looked good last week. I can't lie. Like, he played one of his best games, and he had to in a playoff environment. So, kudos to Dak. We'll see if he can do it 2 weeks in a row. But got to ask you your thoughts on that Cowboys and Buccaneers game in Tampa. What were your thoughts on that game?
Going into the game, we were terrified. I mean, you guys know the stats. We haven't beat Tom Brady. We hadn't won a road game in 30 years. The odds were stacked against us, and it was really concerning going into the game, but they had a good game plan. It seemed like it was a perfect storm for us. The coordinator was calling the right plays. The offensive line was blocking. Dak was hitting the open guys. He finally scrambled, which we've been asking for 2 years. So it all just came together in a good matchup. The defense did what the defense does. So it was really just a complete game for us.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, I was really impressed. I know Tampa Bay, they play a one-dimensional style of offense. It's basically TB12 or nothing. I think he threw like 66 passes.
66.
Like, that's not a recipe for success. And I know we'll see what happens with TB12 in the offseason. But I like what I saw from Dallas, and if they play like they did last week, I think we're gonna have definitely our hands full for sure in Santa Clara. But I got to shout out a few people in the chat. We have B. Bob Jones in the building. I mentioned G12, J.R. Meadows. He's already given his predictions. He's got the Niners winning 40
40
Cowboys
burgers.
14. Wow. Woo. That's going to be very, very interesting. Got to say what's good to you guys and also the Platform 246. Appreciate you coming into the stream tonight. Hope all is well. So speaking of that game, I'll get into the Niners versus Seahawks game. I thought the Seahawks had a good game plan in the first half. They really that was their all. That was like their Super Bowl performance right there. And they kept it really close. And I was a little bit surprised. They were able to run the ball a little bit. DK is a problem. We know that. DK is a problem. He made some plays on our best corner and Mooney Ward, who had a fantastic season. And but that's what DK does. DK makes plays. So the Seahawks kept it close, but I think the better, the more talented team prevailed in the end. I think that Jonathan Abraham, kind of dirty play against Debo kind of fired up this team where basically he made the tackle and then he kind of pulled on Debo's foot and ankle and
tried to alligator roll him.
Yeah, and we know Debo has had some lower leg injury, so that's come on, man, what you doing? But I guess all was forgiven. Debo and him, I think they switched jerseys at the end of the game, so I guess it was all was forgiven. But this Niners defense has really been very good at turnovers, like especially on the defensive. Well, of course, on the defensive side of the ball, we've had 20 turnovers in December alone. We can get it. We can pick the ball off. We force fumbles. And that's really been the catalyst of this squad for this season. That's really what has propelled this team, I think, to 10 straight games. And, of course, the offense. No doubt the offense. But when the defense can give you extra opportunities and a shorter field, I mean, that makes all the difference in the world. So, it'll be very interesting to see if Dak can stay clean and we won't throw any INTs, especially when he's getting pressured by, I think, Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. So
definitely.
Very, very, it's going to be, I can't wait for this game. I'm super, super excited for it. And of course, it's playoff football. So what could be better?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. In the game against the Buccaneers yesterday, I mean, your Cowboys kicker, I don't know what he was doing out there. What are your thoughts though? Should the Cowboys try out a few kickers, or you guys are going to stick with Maher?
You know what? The Cowboys have the Cowboy. We can't have a good game all around. Offense is clicking, defense is clicking. The special's got to find a way to make it a negative story against us. The team has pretty much already said we're rolling with Maher. I don't think they brought any kickers in. Tuesday's usually the tryout day, so we haven't seen any reports about any kickers being brought into the Star. So it seems like it's Maher or nothing right now, and that is concerning considering what we saw last week or yesterday.
I mean, I think everyone is entitled to a bad day, but when you do it in a playoff game, fortunately, it didn't come back to bite you guys. But you look on the other side of the ball, I think Robbie Gould, he's probably one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL. He's missed some, but I don't remember the last time he missed multiple field goals or point after attempts in a game. So, I think, Robbie Gould is very good in his craft. And the special teams department is something that the 49ers invested in heavily in the offseason. Last year, we had a special teams coordinator, Richard Hightower, and Shanahan said in a press conference, I think after a game, he basically just said, hey, special teams, don't lose it for us. That's how bad the special teams department was last year. We added in a new special teams coordinator. We made investments in the special teams, like bringing over George Odom, Orrin Burks, Ray McLeod. So those investments have really paid off. And I think our special teams unit is a strength now, and it's not a weakness. So I think, no one really likes to talk about special teams until they do something wrong, right? But, you're kind of as strong as your weakest
Yeah.
unit. So
You
I
know, it's
think all
funny.
3 units are strength.
Yeah, in the Cowboys podcast world, I'm known as the special teams guy because I'm always screaming special teams matter. I'm always the guy that people come to when they find out, like, why did we sign this seventh DB? And I have to explain to people this guy's a great gunner,
Right.
or he can be your personal protector on punt team. That's important. People don't understand how important bringing in a guy who's solely for special teams can be on
Right.
a field position and protecting the end zone.
Yeah, because I think in a best case scenario, you really don't want your starters to be playing special teams. I mean, you really
Exactly.
want to just have them play special teams. I know our starters, they play a little bit on special teams. I don't necessarily agree with it. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like they should be using all their energy on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball. But there's no doubt you need those special team players because they can definitely make a huge difference. We saw that last year. Niners versus Packers. Jordan Willis blocks the punt. Huff recovers it. So that was huge. It definitely flipped the game. That's for
Yep.
sure.
Exactly.
Want to get your thoughts on the Cowboys' last 7 games.
Okay.
I took a look at their schedule. I was like, it was okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys are peaking at the right moment? Obviously you got the road win against the Buccaneers, but how are you feeling about this team? Are you as confident as ever at this point in the season?
I'm not confident based off of what I've seen on the field,
Mm.
but I am confident because of the players that we brought in. If the last 7 games starts off with the Vikings, I think that Vikings game kind of gave everybody a little bit of a false sense of we've arrived, and then you back that up again with the Giants game, and then you back it up with the big blowout over the Colts. So I think those were the first 3 of the 7 that you're talking about. And then after that, it was just, what team is this for 4 games?
Yeah.
We end up beating the Eagles somewhere in there, but that was with the
Yep.
backup quarterback. So
That was Christmas Eve.
yeah, Christmas Eve. So yeah, so it has been really up and down because the rest of those games were like, this is a 2-13 team.
Yeah.
Why are they within a touchdown of you guys?
Yeah.
So I feel like looking at the game, I'm a little bit concerned, but looking at the veteran leadership we have that we haven't had in the past, you can kind of see, even though we did win those games, there were times in the past where if we were in the situations that we were in, we would have lost those games. So it's good to see when we get dealt with some adversity during the game, we don't let it get too far to hand and then have to come back from 20 down like we did against you guys last year.
Yeah.
We have guys that can kind of keep things steady so that even if we are down, we can keep it close so that we don't have to try to depend on the refs or a fluke play to win or lose it for us at the end.
Okay. And just want to mention we have Sejan in the building, also 49er minded. What's good? And we have Damian Lee. Appreciate you guys being in the chat tonight. If you guys are enjoying the stream, feel free to hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to Bluff City Cowboys on YouTube. Also subscribe to Jay and the Bay on YouTube if you haven't already. Like I said before, I think this team really took off after the Chiefs game. And the Dolphins game kind of started it as well, or I should say continued it. Brock Purdy coming in, I think he's really elevated this offense. Obviously trading for CMC, not only can he help you in the run game, but in the passing game as well. And he's really opened up space for every other player that's on the roster. Debo is finally healthy. We still have Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. I mean, man, who is this at tight end? George Kittle. We haven't seen this type of performance from George Kittle. It's been a while. It's been quite some time.
Definitely.
Jimmy G, he'll get Kittle the ball, but it's all about ball placement. It's about hospital balls that Jimmy G would sometimes throw to George Kittle. He throws it to Kittle, and Kittle gets blown up, and then we wonder why Kittle gets hurt. And the first 9 games of the season, Kittle had 4 touchdowns. The last 6-7 games, he's had 7 touchdowns.
Right.
So he's peaking at the right moment. And I don't think there is a linebacker in the NFL that can cover George Kittle. And we know what Kittle can do in the running game, in the trenches. So
it's going to be a great matchup.
It's going to be a great matchup.
Right now.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the trenches for a
Yeah.
second, because that's where games are won and lost a lot of the times. Let me go first. Okay, so
Go
the
ahead.
Niners last year, we had Lincoln Tomlinson at left guard, we had Alex Mack at center, we had Brunskill at that right guard spot. I can remember telling you last year that, hey, Brunskill, he can be pushed around a little bit along the offensive line. But the two previous guys I mentioned, they were, Pro Bowl caliber players. Lincoln Tomlinson was an Iron Man. He started all 5 seasons with the 49ers. He left this offseason and took the bag to the Jets. Hey, I wish him well, man. I don't blame you. So coming into the season, there was a lot of uncertainty, inexperience at the interior of our offensive line. We basically had Aaron Banks, who we drafted last year, second round pick.
Love him.
Yeah, Notre Dame didn't get any snaps though, no significant snaps, because obviously Lincoln Tomlinson was ahead of him, right?
Yeah, and
so
he didn't play guard before either. He was a pure tackle in college.
Right.
He needs to transition.
And Banks now is entrenched at left guard. Now we have Jake Brindle at center, who didn't have any significant amount of snaps or starts previous to this year. And then we got right guard Burford, who we drafted this season as well. So you go from the experience to basically rookie players starting. So
and don't forget, you got McGlinchey, who's what, a third year
McGlinchey,
McGlinchey, another Notre Dame guy.
Yeah, we love our Notre Dame offensive lineman for some reason. McGlinchey, he is a solid player. He is in the last year of his contract, so I'm sure he's looking to get broke off something proper in the offseason, and it's well deserved. There aren't a ton of great upper echelon like right tackles right now in the NFL. Obviously, you got the big silver back and Trent Williams on the left side, but there was a lot of uncertainty in the middle of our offensive line. I think they've gelled. I think they played very well. I don't think Aaron Banks allowed a sack this season. And he just got back from injury as well. He didn't play against, I think he did not play against the Cardinals the last game of the year, but then he played in the playoff game. So we should see him. But yeah, that's going to be an intriguing matchup. I think Trent Williams will be fine. I think he'll be lined up probably against Micah Parsons, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
but they rotate Micah around, right? No, they only keep. Okay,
we could talk about that in a minute. That's one of my biggest concerns / issues.
Yeah, they should definitely do that in this game. I mean, McGlinchey is good, but he can definitely get pushed around a little bit, especially if he keeps his pad level high, which sometimes he does. But he's a tall man. He's a big man. So I like our offensive line now. I think it's gelled. It's gotten better every game, and I think it's definitely ready for the challenge. So from a 49er standpoint, who should the 49ers be concerned about on the Cowboys D line? We know about Micah Parsons, but who else is there that could possibly make some noise?
Okay, before I start, I see we got Payo time in the comments. Rams fan. Yeah, great guy. He came on my podcast earlier this year when we played them. Very, very knowledgeable. Rams fan.
Absolutely.
So, have you had him on your show before?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been on his channel. He's been on mine. So
great guy.
Great guy.
So before I talk about our defensive line, I got to say this: you guys have one of those offensive lines that scare me. I call it the 5 tackle line because all of your guys are 6'5", 300 to 315 pounds. They're all athletic. They could really play tackle if they wanted to. Those are the dangerous offensive lines in the league. Once again, talking about 1995 football. This isn't the big hog league anymore. This is dancing bear league. And you guys have 4 young, talented offensive linemen, then that silverback on the left tackle spot. Yeah. So you guys have a lot to look forward to in the future. Going back to our defense, what bothers me about Micah and D-Law, Micah and D-Law have too much control. Micah wants to only go against the best. It's almost like he feels like it's an insult for them to move him to right tackle to take advantage of a mismatch. So he's always on the left side. And then D-Law is just, I'm a right side guy. You're not moving me. So for those reasons, it's hard to get the pass rush we could get sometimes because Micah likes to stay on that left side. Outside of Micah, Dorrance Armstrong has had one hell of a season this year. He has 7 sacks. He's kind of been an unsung hero against the run and the pass. And he's one of those 6'5", 280 guys. He can play all across the line of scrimmage. He can play from defensive end to defensive end. The only time Micah leaves left tackle is because Armstrong will go to that spot, and then Micah will kind of blitz from the inside on a guard or a center. Another guy you guys have to be aware of is Osa Odigizua, our young defensive tackle from a couple years back. He's starting to kind of get into form on the inside. And then we also have our defensive tackle. Noah Gallimore is one of those guys that's been kind of a name for us, but he's been kind of up and down. So in terms of pass rush, you really just got to worry about Osa, Armstrong, Parsons, and D-Law has a good game against the Giants and the Redskins. I mean, I got to call a spade a spade. If he gets 7 sacks in a year, I can guarantee you 5 come between those two teams. But he's a hell of a run defender, so I can't take anything away from him right there. But pass rush, you only got 3 guys to worry about.
And that's interesting. Brock Purdy has done a pretty good job in avoiding the rush. He hasn't taken a lot of sacks. And the great thing about BP is his mobility. So he's obviously he's not a statue in the pocket. He can evade the rush. And not only can he evade the rush, but it allows his receivers more time to get open. And we've seen him do that throughout these last 5 games. Like, it'll look like there's no receiver open. The pass rush is right in his face. Sometimes he'll just step up, deliver the throw, take the hit, or he'll run away. Maybe he'll run to a first down, or maybe he'll run and look for an open receiver. And that's something that's another element to this offense we haven't really seen with Jimmy. Jimmy was a little mobile, but BP is definitely, another level. There's no doubt about that.
Now, one good thing I say about our defensive line, we don't have a lot of pass rushers, but we have a lot of disciplined pass rushers. They don't always get home, but they know how to generate pressure without giving up running lanes. If you guys pay attention to our team, we don't have a lot of quarterbacks that really go off against us against the run anymore. Like we got Jalen Hurts. We got to deal with him twice a year.
Yeah.
He hasn't really gone off on us like he has on other teams. And then you look at the guy that's been crowned as White Vic, Daniel Jones. That's what they call him, White Vic. He's getting 50, 60 yards against everybody else, but against us, we pretty much learn how to neutralize them because our guys know how to stay in their rush lanes and keep that discipline.
No, hey, that's great. That's great to know, and that's good that we're going up against a sound defense, because that's also something which I think about the 49ers defense at times. Like the last man on the line has to keep that outside leverage. The last man on the line has to keep contained so you don't allow that big run on the outside by the quarterback. And Dak was making plays with his legs. That's obviously another added development or added element that he has in his tool bag. And that's something, honestly, that the 49ers have kind of struggled with is mobile quarterbacks. I mean, we let Jarrett Stidham eat us up with the Raiders. I mean, that game was 34-31, I think. I think that was an overtime game, I think.
Yeah,
but,
it was.
Yeah, so going into that game, Jarrett Stidham was supposed to be a statue. This guy can't move around, and man, he definitely surprised us. So I think that's one element that Dak, I think it'll definitely benefit him in the Cowboys offense to move around, run for a few first downs. I think that's definitely an advantage the Cowboys could have, going up against the 49ers. Speaking of our defense, obviously we're led by Nick Bosa. I think he is the defensive player of the year, led the league with 18.5 sacks. We are healthy up the middle. We missed Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw a lot. Yeah. Kinlaw, I think this is his maybe third game back.
Okay.
Yeah, he missed at least 8 to 10 games this year, at least with knee issues. Armstead had like plantar fasciitis in his foot, but I think he's been back for at least maybe 4 or 5 games. But he's definitely made a difference in the run game. He also had a sack last week against Seattle. So not only do you have pressure coming from the edge, but you also have it coming from the inside. Kinlaw isn't a great pass rusher, but we're really just expecting him to take up double teams and take up space, stop the run and let the linebackers field. That's basically what we want Kinlaw to do. And also opposite of that, we have Samsung Ebucom, who's pretty good. Charles Omenwehu, another great trade by John Lynch in the season he had last week. I think he had the singular play that flipped the game last week where Seattle, they were in their red zone, so they were only 20 yards away from scoring a touchdown. I think it might have been a third down play. Geno Smith takes a snap, steps back, and Charles Omenwehu gets pressure. Not only does he sack Geno, but he causes a fumble as well. Nick Bosa recovers, and the game wasn't the same after that. I think that happened in the third quarter, and the Seahawks only scored a touchdown for the rest of the game. So that play really flipped it for the 49ers. And Charles Omenwehu, I think he's a free agent this year. But we have, I say that to say we have depth along the defensive line, and you can't just single out Bosa. You got to worry about a whole bunch of guys. In order to give Dak time in the pocket to throw. When Dak has time, hey, I think he can look like he did last week, right? He can't do nothing wrong. But when he's pressured, I think we could see a different Dak. Maybe the Dak that's thrown those 15 INTs. Maybe we'll see that Dak. So we'll see what happens. But I definitely like our defensive line. I like our O-line. And I know you talked about Pollard, but I think Skip Bayless had an interesting tweet. He said he would still take Tony Pollard over CMC. Do you agree with that?
No. He said that?
He said that. Yep.
Those are the kind of fans that everybody else in the world hates. That is a completely dumb statement.
Yeah.
CMC has had 1,000 yards and 100 receptions in a year.
Yeah.
Who would take him over? Who would take anybody over that?
A delusional Cowboys fan.
What's that?
A delusional Cowboys fan.
That's true. That's definitely true.
So yeah, but I want to see if I can pull up that tweet. But if I can pull it up, I'll pull it up. But yeah, he said that. But I wasn't surprised. I watched Undisputed with him and Shannon. It's great TV. But I know Skip is definitely biased. Let's just say that. Yeah. That's for sure.
That's delusional. That's not biased.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think Pollard is an excellent back, but yeah, there's no way he's better than CMC. That I just don't see that, especially based off this year. That's for sure.
I mean, I would make an argument that he's not better than Elijah Mitchell.
That would be interesting.
I talked to you about that off the show. How much I like Elijah Mitchell as a running back.
Yeah, and Elijah Mitchell, he's coming into form. He's missed a lot of games this year. He's had 2 MCL sprains. But Elijah Mitchell, I know you mentioned earlier he could be the X factor. I think I'll tell you my X factor later, but I think it's going to be someone else in the passing game. But yeah, there's no doubt. CMC and Mitchell, I think it's the best running back tandem that's left in the NFL playoffs. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Cowboys defense try to stop that. I think I looked earlier on the Cowboys run defense. I think you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys average about 130 yards allowed on the ground on defense.
That's true, but it's gone down a lot the past 4 weeks.
Okay.
So
okay. So you guys have improved over the last month. Okay.
Yeah, we made a trade a couple of weeks back for the Dalvin Tomlinson out of Oakland. So he's been known as kind of a run defense specialist pretty much his whole career. So he came in and helped fill some gaps. And then also we got Damone Clark, the rookie from LSU, who we didn't even think was going to play this year. And he came back about week 9 or 10, and he just immediately stepped in and became, in my opinion, at worst, our second best linebacker. And he's great against the run also. So those two guys combined really helped us stop the run. At least not open the floodgates up like we did in the past.
And that's going to be an interesting aspect of this game. Can the Cowboys slow down the 49ers run game? I think that's going to be huge. We love to run the ball. I think if we run the ball 30 to 35 times, I think that could seal a victory for the 49ers. I gotta say, what's good to Niner Sickness? Thanks for tuning in to the stream. I like that Bebop has said 3 all-pro defensive starters at all 3 levels on this 49er roster. You start off at the trenches with Bosa. You move up to Warner. Dre Greenlaw has been playing really well as well. I think he was one or two votes away from all pro second team, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So Greenlaw's had a hell of a season. We also signed him to a 2-year contract extension earlier on in the season. Talanoa Hufanga, I just thought he would be a special teams ace, but
Me too.
Yeah, but he's played well. Now, okay, so now we're talking about Hufanga. First year as a starter, he's a Pro Bowler.
Okay.
What Hufanga, sometimes they say your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness, right? Hufanga, his instincts are on point, right? He's had several interceptions this year.
Takes a lot of chances.
He takes a lot of chances, and sometimes he could be man up on a receiver, but he'll look at the quarterback, and sometimes he'll get beat over the top. So our defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryan, shout out to him. He's going to be up for a head coaching position, this offseason. This will probably be his last year with the Niners, but he's talked about eye discipline, and that's something that the Cowboys could take advantage of. But I think it depends on, if specifically Talanoa Hufanga and Tashawn Gibson a little bit on the back end, can they, pay attention to their keys, do their job. You don't have to make a big play on every other defensive snap. Just do your job, and sometimes plays will just come to you. So that could be something that the Cowboys may be able to take advantage of on Sunday. I gotta say, what's good to Sandy Martinez? Thanks for tuning in to the stream. Payo Time, the Canadian Rams fan, had a question for Bluff. He says, with that solid 49ers D, how important is Gallup to show up in this game playing opposite to CeeDee Lamb?
Well, the thing about Gallup is really just a big play guy for us. He's not really been consistent this year. He's the type of guy that if you can get inside the 10 or if you get at the 8 and it's first and goal at the 8, he's the type of guy who can find a way to muscle himself open to get the touchdown. If it's 2nd and 9 and you need somebody to run that hard slant to get that first down, he can do that. That's about it. He's going to get you 2 or 3 catches a game. They're going to be impact catches, but that's all you're going to get from him. Our offense pretty much focuses in the passing game around CeeDee Lamb and our tight ends. We're heavy. We're heavy on the tight ends this year. Noah Brown has been kind of up and down, coming in off the bench, and T.Y. Hilton still getting his legs up under him. He makes 1 or 2 catches a game. Also, we don't have a consistent number 2 or number 3 like you guys have.
Okay. And speaking of the tight ends, you guys utilize the tight ends a lot in the last game we played in the playoffs. I was looking at some of the stats from the last game. Dalton Schultz led you guys 7 catches, 89 yards. He was second in targets in that game. You no longer have Amari Cooper or Cedric Wilson. There's something else I noticed, and I want to ask you, what has changed since last season, since the last time we played you? Last year, you guys on third downs, you were 5 of 14 against us on offense. Also, you had 14 penalties as well. And also we sacked Dak 5 times in the last game. So I'm just curious, is that all going to change? Is that going to be a 360 in this game, or do you think that could continue?
Well, what's changed about our team, I would say, is if we're just focusing on offense. Number 1, we're getting Tony Pollard involved, because I'm sure if you go back and look, I think Pollard only had
like 2 carries. Like 2 carries.
And we were all up in arms about that because he was showing us flashes throughout the season.
Right.
This year, he's an integral part of our offense. So I think he's going to come in and help kind of keep guys honest a little bit more than in the past, because last year, you guys pretty much knew if Zeke got it, he can't run away from anybody.
Right.
Simple. So you got your defensive linemen can kind of pin their ears back, and if Zeke did get the ball, they knew they could recover and get him. You can't do that with Pollard. So you got to give him a little bit more respect when it comes to those inside runs. Also, just talking about leadership, Amari Cooper wasn't really a leader on this team. That's one of the reasons he's gone right now. He was a talented guy who can make plays if he has a good mismatch. He was that guy in Oakland. He was that guy here. He's that guy in Cleveland. I mean, you got to go with what history shows you. So This year we got guys who are actually veterans. Our tight end has stepped up to become a veteran leader on the team. He's been building up our tight end core as a whole. We're able to run more 13 personnel now with 3 tight ends. So that's going to help in the passing game also, because now we can put more tight ends on the field, and those tight ends are legitimate passing threats. When in the past we had the belldozer, we called them, who basically came in and we put him in at quarterback for sneaks, or we put him in the backfield as a fullback. Now we have legitimate pass catching threats. So when we go in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends or 13 personnel with 3 tight ends, you have to respect them in the passing game also. So that'll also kind of help keep the pass rush at bay a little bit.
Right.
And again, and better pass and better pass protection, you get to see better Dak. And then you saw that last week what happens when Dak gets time.
Absolutely. And I hope, he doesn't have a repeat week. I don't think he'll have the same amount of time. I think Vita Vea got a sack early on in the game, but after that, Dak was able to, make dinner reservations. He was able to, make vacation plans. Like he had all day back there. So, yeah, very intriguing. Hey, but we have a question from Niner Sickness, man. I appreciate you tuning in tonight. He says, Bluff City Cowboys, which player on the Niners will you guys be more concerned and try to stop? Yeah, so who are you guys going to key on? I'd love to know that.
Well, I mean,
we got weapons galore, man. So who you going to stop?
From a team perspective, this is from the Cowboys, not from me personally.
Okay.
From a team perspective, you got to go back and look at last year and just look at how Debo torched us out of the backfield and in the passing game. So from a team perspective, that has to be the guy that our defense tries to key on. Me personally, I'm concerned about Elijah Bell and Brandon Ayuk.
Okay.
One of the things that bothered me about last year's game, like I was literally calling plays out sitting at home. You guys destroyed us running off tackle. It was off tackle left, off tackle right, crosser, off tackle left. It was the same 3 plays over and over again. And Elijah Mitchell was just destroying us with those off tackle runs. CMC is a great running back, but I think Elijah is much better at those off tackle runs. So I'm concerned about that. And then Brandon Ayuk is taking a step forward for you guys.
Yeah.
So I think the team is going to key on Debo, but that means Ayuk is going to get those one-on-ones. And for you guys that haven't paid attention to our team, we lost our number 2 and number 3 corners to season-ending injuries. We've got Trayvon Diggs. We got a rookie named Deron Bland who has 6 interceptions, but he's a rookie. He doesn't do well in covering, but he is great at taking the ball away if he's close by. So it's kind of a positive negative with him. Okay. Our number 2 cornerback is a carousel of guys that shouldn't be on, guys who were drafted who can't play, guys we picked up off the street who can't play, and guys who are on our practice squad who can't play. So they're really just throwing crap at the wall opposite Trayvon Diggs and seeing what can stick for 5 or 6 plays at a time. And if Diggs tries to follow Debo, like I think he might, that just leaves the world wide open for Ayuk.
Yeah. And I think we have a lot of weapons. And if you key on one guy, I just think they'll target another guy. Brock Purdy loves to throw the ball around. He doesn't just stick to one guy. So it's going to be intriguing. Got to get your 3 keys to victory. So if the Cowboys do these 3 things, you think the Cowboys will win. I would love to hear what you think may happen on Sunday. 3 keys to victory for your Cowboys.
All right. First of all, I didn't get a chance to talk about our offensive line, but I'll hit it really quickly.
Okay.
Got a lot of shuffling going on. We lost our right tackle, season-ending injury. Tyron Smith, who got injured week 1, hamstring torn off the bone. He came back, and we had to put him at right tackle because our first-round pick cannot play on the right side. He's a left side guy 100%. He has to play left guard or left tackle, or he can't play in the league. It's a crazy situation. So we had to put Tyron Smith at right tackle. We brought in 37-year-old Jason Peters, and we've been moving him between left guard and left tackle. Now, he's going to be a Hall of Famer someday, but he's 37 now. So we've been switching our first-round pick, Tyron Smith and Jason Peters. They've been going back and forth between left guard and left tackle, each one. We finally got some continuity last week where our 5 guys came together and looked really good. Jason Peters gets hurt. So now we got to bring in a guy off the bench, and we got to put our first-round pick back at left tackle and bring in a guy off the bench to play left guard. So that left
sound like
side,
Dak gonna be running for his life.
It does. and the thing that bothers me about Dak has horrible pocket presence. That's the only. Dak is a great player. That's my one issue with him. And if you watch him play, he loves to fade to the left, no matter what happens. If the pocket looks like it's breaking down now, he fades to the left, which doesn't make sense for a right-handed quarterback, but that's what he does. So now we got a quarterback that fades to the left, and the left side of your offensive line is just in disarray. So we got to protect that left side. I mean, you guys watched the game last week. Think about all our big plays. Where did Dak scramble to? To the left. The bootleg for the touchdown, the big throw to Dalton Schultz, the throw to CeeDee Lamb on 4th down, all to the left. So our left side has to stand its ground. Whoever they throw in at number 2 corner, it could be me. I don't know who it's going to be at this point. They have to be able to not give up big plays. They're going to get beat, but they can't give up big plays like they did to Julio and insert whatever number 2 receiver there has been on the other team for the past 7 weeks. Number 3, we have to stop. Well, we have to contain the outside runs because, like I said, you guys' offensive scheme is based off of off-tackle running, so the quarterback can hand it off or bootleg
and get Kittle over the middle,
find his spot, and then hit the open guy coming on a crosser or hitting that skinny post. So those are my 3 keys.
So your 3 is contain the outside runs, don't allow big plays, and what was number 1?
Don't allow big plays from your number 2 receiver.
Okay.
And the left side of our offensive line has to protect.
Yeah, you got to protect number 97, Bosa, because he's
man, that's gonna be around.
Sometimes they'll line him up opposite of Armstead sometimes, but I think majority of his snaps he lines up right across from the left tackle. And I love the 49ers when you watch them play. A lot of times when they get sacks, it's through stunts. So the left tackle will go through the middle. Yeah, the middle guy will go where the outside guy was, and it kind of confuses the offensive line. I know a lot of teams do it, but the Niners seem to have a lot of success with that. So interesting to see how the Cowboys handle that. Oh, before I go into my keys to victory, are there any glaring injuries from the Cowboys side of things?
Well, I just talked about Jason Peters. He went down in the first quarter. I just talked about our 2 cornerbacks, Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis. Our number 2 and number 3 corners are both gone. They're not coming back. Marquise Bell, I'm sorry. J-Ron Curse, our pretty much heart and soul leader of our defense. He's dealing with the MCL sprain right now. He says there's no way he's missing this game. So he's a big key to our defense because he pretty much plays linebacker, safety, and corner for us.
Okay.
He's more than likely going to be shadowing George Kittle, and he's made a reputation of becoming a tight end stopper for us this year.
And what's his name again?
J-Ron Curse.
J-Ron Curse. Is he's number 27?
Yes.
Okay. So I've seen him before.
6'4" safety.
Ooh. Okay. And there's no doubt he's playing.
He says he's playing.
Okay.
But that he couldn't put any weight on his knee at the end of the game. So we'll see what happens. And this is his second MCL sprain of the season.
Yeah, we'll have to monitor that during the week for sure. On the Niners side of things, honestly, like I told you before the show, I think this is the healthiest team on both sides of the ball we're going to get outside of the season-ending injuries. I mean, everyone is basically healthy on both sides of the ball. I'm trying to think. I know Drake Jackson, our young edge rusher. I don't think he hasn't been hurt. He's just been like a healthy scratch in a few games. But I think the Niners have really decided on going with Jordan Willis,
Yeah.
a veteran, over Drake Jackson.
I didn't like that pick.
Drake Jackson.
I didn't like it.
Well, I'll say this. We have a great defensive line coach who gets a lot out of our edge rushers. Kerry Hyder, Arden Key. They've had great seasons under Chris Kusarek. Drake Jackson, I believe he's top 2, top 3, and I think in batted balls along defensive linemen. So that is something he's good at. But I mean, he's got a lot of talent around him. I mean, he's learning from Nick Bosa. So I think time will tell. I think we like the pick, but I think it seems like the last few games, Jordan Willis snaps have increased. Charles Omenway, he was getting snaps anyway, but it seems like we're riding with Jordan Willis, and if they feel that he's the better player at this point, then hey, that's just what it is. I mean,
and I love those two guys too coming out of the draft.
Yeah,
they're both 2018 and 2019 draft guys. I wish we would have got them.
And we're glad we have them, and that's what this team really prides itself on, especially like we've drafted an edge rusher since John Lynch has been here, like almost like every year. With our first couple of picks, we love to draft the defensive line. That obviously helps out the secondary when you can get pressure on the quarterback. Got to shout out a few people. We got the Ramelia Sports Report in the building. We have a Niner Gang podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's see. And and I will continue reading out comments throughout the show. What's good? Let me give you my quick 3 keys to victory for the 49ers. The defense has to continue to turn the ball over. That's something that we've kind of prided ourselves on this entire year. I don't remember the last time that I saw a Niners defense commit so many turnovers by Tayshaun Gibson. I mean, he was sitting on the couch at the beginning of the year. He wasn't even on a roster, and we picked him up because Jimmy Ward got hurt. He's played really well. Obviously, we mentioned Huff, Pro Bowl season in his first year as a starter. Jimmy Ward is playing the nickel. Now, that's a matchup I don't really like. Jimmy Ward against CeeDee Lamb in the slot. I'm not really feeling that matchup. That's I think CeeDee Lamb could definitely make some plays. But Tayshaun Gibson is playing so well, they want to put the best players out there together, and we'll see what happens. But so my first one, create turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, we got to run the ball with CMC, Elijah Mitchell, win the time of possession. And that's obviously you do that when you can, run the ball. Keep moving those chains. And I would say my third one is you got to get pressure on Dak. He can't have a game like he had last week. If he throws for 4 touchdowns, I don't know if we win the game, honestly. If he could throw for 4 touchdowns against us, I just don't see it. It'll be very difficult. Let's just say that. But I don't think that's going to happen. Those are my keys.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm a big draft guy, and I have guys I really like. You guys drafted a corner, I think, in the 4th round out of Michigan named Ambry Thomas.
Yep.
Is he playing? Because I would expect that he would have been your nickel guy.
No, he had a pretty good back half of the season last year, but when he came into camp, they're basically saying he regressed. So he hasn't been getting significant snaps. He'll come in the game if it's a blowout. But other than that, he's not getting significant snaps. We have Demo Lenore, who a guy we also drafted.
Oregon.
Yep. Yeah. A guy we also drafted last year. And he's basically been starting since Emmanuel Mosley got hurt. And Demo Lenore, that could be an opportunity for the Cowboys to exploit. He's usually in position. He's right on the receiver's hip, but sometimes, the point of attack, sometimes the receiver can make plays on him, or sometimes he's like a little grabby. Say it again.
He's like 5'10" with short arms.
Exactly.
I thought he was going to play safety when he came into the league. I was shocked to see you guys put him in corner.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's played well. I mean, he's a young guy. He's only going to continue to get better, but right now he's the best we have, opposite of Mooney Ward. And sometimes even Mooney Ward can get a little handsy. Sometimes get some penalties called on him. So that'll be definitely something that, we need to keep in check on Sunday. That's for sure. Now that we got the keys to victory, let's go with your game prediction for the Cowboys and Niners. Second year in a row.
I got two more questions though, because
absolutely go ahead.
Like again, I'm a draft guy. I follow you guys. Charvarius Ward, a guy that we drafted and we let him go. How's he been looking this year?
Wait, you guys? I thought he was drafted by KC.
No, we drafted him, and then like idiots, we traded him in the same offseason to pick up a guard who didn't last a month.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Mooney Ward has been a Pro Bowl caliber player. He's been great for us. Yeah, he's been great for us. I mean, he was good with the Chiefs. He was good with the Chiefs, right?
He was good with the Chiefs, yeah.
But you didn't really. No one really talked about him because when you think of the Chiefs, you think of Andy Reid, you think of Pat Mahomes. So no one really talked about him. And then the Chiefs defense has always been kind of, suspect. But yeah, Mooney Ward has been great for us. He has been the number one corner for us pretty much all year. I think he's only missed maybe 1 or 2 games. But yeah, Mooney Ward, I think he was the best free agent signing this past offseason, I think, for the 49ers. So definitely glad we got him. I couldn't imagine not having Mooney Ward, not having Emmanuel Mosley, not having Jason Barrett. Those would be like our top 3 corners. So definitely glad we got Mooney.
Let me ask one more and then we can move on.
Yeah.
You guys drafted a receiver that I just loved out of Tennessee, Jawan Williams, I believe.
Jawan
Jennings.
Oh yeah.
Is he playing your slot? Because I always thought he was a big slot guy.
He is. Big slot guy. Obviously former running back at Tennessee. But yeah, we like to call him third and Jawan.
Okay.
Because on third down, yeah, we definitely go to Jawan Jennings. Even when Jimmy G was in there, he would go to Jawan Jennings on third down. He's like a big play guy. Like he's not going to run away from anyone. He doesn't have that 4.2 speed, but he has good hands. He uses his body. Yeah, he knows how to use his body. He's a pretty good route runner. He's got good hands. He's not going to get you 10 catches a game, but he'll get you 2 or 3 catches that could really change the game, especially if on third down. So yeah, Jawan Jennings. It's like we got a plethora of weapons, man. I don't know who y'all gonna stop, man. I really don't. It's gonna
and I got one more. I'm sorry. I shall go down the rabbit hole. Are you guys using Danny Gray as a punt returner? Is he touching the field at all?
No. That is one gripe I have.
Wow.
About the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. I don't know how you don't have one of the fastest men in the NFL not utilize him. I don't get it.
He's not even a returner.
We haven't used him he's been on. I saw him last week as a gunner on special teams, and he made a tackle, which is great, right? But he should be utilized on offense. I don't care if you give it to him in reverses, sweeps. We sometimes use him as a decoy, honestly. Like he'll run a fly pattern, and obviously your corner and safety got to go after him, and then you might see a crossing route underneath, and then there'll be an open guy. But yeah, it's a shame we don't use Danny Gray, because how can you not use one of the fastest guys in the NFL? It seems like Shanahan would rather have Ray McLeod, a special teams guy who we brought over this offseason, and he's good, but he doesn't have the speed that Danny Gray has. So it's unfortunate. Unfortunately, we don't use them. So, but hopefully that'll change. I know we drafted. Yeah, I know, right? I know part of the reason we drafted Danny Gray was because we were expecting Trey Lance to start. Trey Lance has this big arm. He could throw deep. He could throw that fly route, no issue, right? But it seems like when Jimmy G was inserted, Danny Gray was a healthy scratch a few times, and he just wasn't utilized. So hopefully that'll change, next year. That's what we're hoping.
I got one more. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Guys that I follow in the draft. You mentioned Tashawn Gibson was on the couch and he's starting. What?
Yeah.
Do you guys still have Tavares Moore?
We still have Tavares Moore, but he's just a special teams guy. I think he had a pretty good year in 2019, and I think he tore his Achilles sometime after that, and he's slowly getting back. But he's basically just a special teams guy. He's got great speed. I think he definitely has a place on this team, but right now he's not taking any starting snaps on defense.
Yeah, that's all I got. Those names just popped in my head, guys. I loved coming out of the draft, and I hate you guys got them.
Yeah, and that's another thing, man. We do an excellent job in drafting. We do a great job, and one thing that Kyle Shanahan doesn't really get credit for from a national perspective is he has a hell of a coaching tree. Mike McDaniel's got a head coaching job. Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans is going to get a head coaching job. And he likes to, bring up mentor minorities, African Americans. So that also not only helps, obviously have more diversity with the coaching staff and all that good stuff and front office guys. We also just had a front office guy get the GM job in Tennessee, and he was black. So not only he's giving them opportunities, but also we're going to get draft compensation, right? So we're going to get these compensatory picks. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Shanahan has done an excellent job with his coaching tree, and we're going to have a ton of draft picks to help replenish this team. So let's get into the game prediction, man. Who you got? I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this.
Like I said, I'm a realistic fan. I came over here last year and told you guys will win. I'm leaning towards the same. I see 40-14. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. You guys are at home. Offense and defense are clicking. We're scoring at least 20 points. I don't think anybody can stop us from scoring 20 points. So I see a 23-27 type game. I think you guys are going to probably pull ahead early because we just have notoriously slow starts in the first quarter. So you guys will probably get up 10, and then we'll just be playing the catch-up game going forward. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be competitive. There's a chance that we could get a lead at some point. But I think our defense is good enough to keep you guys under 30. And I just think we might not be able to make enough plays to have that lead at the end.
So you got the Cowboys winning 27.
No, I got you guys winning 27-23.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You guys have too much for us to stop, like you said. I don't see how we can stop it. And I don't know how our offensive line is going to look, particularly on their left side. That's my biggest concern. If the left side finds a way to hold up, we got a different ball game. But I have some major concerns left side and number 2 corner because I love Jawan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk. Those guys are going to have a chance to make some big plays.
Hey, absolutely, man. I appreciate your sincerity and you not being a Skip Bayless type fan, man. I appreciate that. But I think the only way the Cowboys win this game is if Purdy looks like a rookie, and he kind of looked like the rookie last week. Hey, there was rain. I don't know if you heard, but Northern California and California period, we've been having storms. It's been raining pretty much the last 3 weeks to a month, like every day there's been flooding. So not an excuse, but that's a reality. Throwing the ball in inclement weather and windy, rainy weather, you don't always play your best. If the Cowboys can get a few interceptions on Purdy early, I think that could be an issue. Obviously for the Niners. If we can't run the ball, and the Cowboys, like you said,
don't even have that thought in your head. Y'all are running the ball. There's no chance we got to stop in the run.
You mean y'all not gonna put the clamps down on CMC? What?
No, definitely not.
So I think the Niners should win this game. I think we are the more talented team. I think on both sides of the ball, honestly, I think we're more talented. And I think we haven't really talked about the head coaches, but I don't even think we really need to talk about it. I mean, Shanahan versus McCarthy. I mean, come on. But I like the Niners in this game. I think it will be close because I think the Cowboys, hey, they are a talented team. If Dak, plays 80% of what he played last week, he'll definitely keep you guys in the game. But I just think, man, there's so many weapons on the Niners. How do you stop it? So I like the Niners to win this game. I got the Niners winning 31-27. It's going to be a close game. I think it'll be high scoring. And I think, our secondary, sometimes they look too much in the backfield. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they try to make a play that's not for them to be made, and then that's when you get beat over the top. And we've seen that. We've seen that versus Arizona against AJ Green, even though he did push off, but whatever. We saw that DK Metcalf. He had a pretty good game against Mooney Ward. So we're not perfect. But I think in the end, I think we will prevail. So.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. Lining up team by team, roster by roster, coaching staff by coaching staff, you guys have a marketable advantage everywhere except quarterback, and safety's close. I would say safety's close. I know you guys don't know J-Ron Curse, but to me, he's Hufanga without the blitzing. But I think he's better in pass coverage. So we got the advantage only because Dak is a veteran, and Purdy could still have that bad game. He's due.
Right.
6 games in. Most quarterbacks, most quarterbacks usually have a bad game by about 4 games. Yeah, and we're at 6, so he's due a bad game.
Yeah, and the weather is going to be perfect. It's going to be sunny. Not expected much wind, much rain, so that won't really be a won't be an issue. Won't be a roadblock, I should say. So. But like you said, BP Purdy, he could have that rookie game. There's no doubt about that. This is a big time playoff game, his second playoff game. But here's what's great about Purdy. He was a 4-year starter at Iowa State. Usually, if you're a great quarterback, you don't play all 4 years at college, right? You might play 1 or 2 years and you head to the NFL draft. Well, Brock Purdy set all types of records at Iowa State, 48 starts. The guy, when he came into the game, when I see him, when I watch him, the eye test, it just seems like he is poised. The moment isn't too big for Purdy. It doesn't matter if the blitz is coming in his face; he'll step up and deliver the ball, or he'll run away from a defender. And I got to be honest, Trey Lance, I just don't see the same offense. I don't see the same, Shanahan doesn't really believe in Trey how he believes in Purdy. And I think that says a lot. Even I could say that about Jimmy G. Yeah. And he's like, 8-10-year vet. And Shanahan did not show the same, trust in Jimmy G that he has in Brock Purdy. So it's an incredible story. 7th round pick, Mr. Irrelevant. And he's playing. No one saw this coming. No one saw this coming. So, it's going to be.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You asked me about the X factor for your team. Who do you think is the X factor you guys have to watch on our team?
Let's see. Probably Tony Pollard on offense. I think he could have a pretty good game. I wouldn't say we struggled against the run recently, but there've been some teams that got a few, 8 to 10 yard runs against us. I think Pollard could do that.
Okay.
You guys still got Dalton Schultz, right?
We do. That's our go-to guy.
He could be a guy that could cause some trouble for us. I love Fred Warner, but he's not the greatest in coverage. And granted, you're going up against the best players in the world. Some guys are just going to get beat. That's just how it is. But Dalton Schultz, he could make some catches. That's for sure. On defense, obviously, is Micah. You gotta slow down Micah for sure. Yeah. He definitely can wreak havoc. But I think Trent is battle tested. I think he's ready for Micah. So and I think our X factor for me on offense, I think it's CMC. I just think he's just a mismatch nightmare. Shanahan knows how to use him. Granted, he'll break open some runs. Like he had a few runs last week where he had a lot of yards, but me and a few other 49er content creators were saying the same thing, like, Elijah Mitchell may be a little bit better in certain run fits.
I see it too,
but also you can't account for him in the passing game. You're not gonna be able to guard him. Also, Kyle Juszczyk, fullback, watch for him in the passing game. He'll catch 2 or 3 passes that you're not even expecting. So I just think it's just too many weapons, man. Like I just
and let me throw this out there. We can talk all night about this, but a thing to watch for the Cowboys team, Leighton Vander Esch, 6'5", 260. That's our middle linebacker.
Yep.
He's slow. If you guys find a way to put McCaffrey in the slot and Vander Esch is lined up in front of him with that little
CMC all day.
And his stance look like he's about to take a dump on the field. That's the way
Yeah,
his stance looks. So if I see that ugly stance out there for the CMC, I may just change the channel for 30 seconds because I know it's gonna be a big play coming.
that's funny.
Yeah.
And that's something that the Niners will do. They'll line up CMC in the slot. So he'll line up at wide receiver. Obviously, he'll line up at back. And then if you have CMC, you have Debo in the backfield as well. Whew, man,
Pick your poison.
weapons galore.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on tonight,
Yeah, no problem.
Marcus, representing Bluff City Cowboys. Man, it's great to link up again. Obviously, we did this as well last year, but tell the folks watching right now where they can find you at on social media and what they can expect from your platform, man.
All right, guys, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube at Bluff City Cowboys. You can find me on Twitter at Bluff Cowboys. As you guys can see, I keep it real. I'm a realistic fan. I'm not only a Cowboys fan, I'm a football fan whose favorite team happens to be the Cowboys. So I watch a lot of football. I keep up with a lot of teams, players. I'm also really big on the draft. Like we talked about in the show, there are about 7 guys on you guys' teams that I just loved coming out. So if you want to find out about the players coming in the upcoming draft that you might not be aware of, check out my podcast during the off season because we do a lot of Cowboys free agent breakdowns, which you guys may be interested in. And we also do a lot of draft talk for some of those day 2 guys, day 3 guys that you might want to keep your eyes on for the Niners team in the upcoming season.
Hey, man, I definitely look forward to that. I got to have you on as well because the Niners are going to have a ton of draft picks this year, probably. And a lot of them, I think, all of them are going to be day 2 and day 3 picks because we don't have a first or second. So,
yeah,
you definitely got to have you on for that analysis on guys that we'll draft because I'm sure we'll draft another edge rusher probably.
Yeah,
with our first pick. Maybe we'll get a cornerback. I don't know, but man, excellent having you on. Make sure you guys follow Bluff City Cowboys, all social media platforms. Got IG, Twitter, YouTube. All those links are in the description of this video. And any last words for the audience, man, before we call this a night?
Oh yeah, draft thing. This is a really good corner draft. So if you guys are lacking that corner and you got a lot of first and second round picks, you're going to be very happy with what you come out with, no matter where you draft.
So it's a corner deep draft. Okay.
It's a very corner deep draft in that top 50. Corner and quarterbacks. But you guys may not need a quarterback. But
nope. Maybe we can trade up into the second round because we've got a ton of picks, day 2, day 3. So maybe we could possibly. But only thing is the Niners don't really value cornerbacks. And I say that because I thought instead of getting Aaron Banks, we could have got Asante Samuel Jr.
Oh my God.
That dude had 3 interceptions in the playoff game. Like we could have had Asante Samuel Jr., but we drafted Aaron Banks. And hey, Banks has played his ass off. He's played a pretty good game or a pretty good season, I should say, this year. So that turns out that was a pretty good pick. But man, I'd be surprised if we draft a corner in the second round. I would like to see it, but I don't think that'll happen. But hey, man, I will say this: good luck to your Cowboys. I'm hoping everyone
guys as well
ends this game. They're walking out. Everyone's healthy, and I just hope it'll be a competitive game. I think it will be from start to finish. And once again, man, appreciate you having you on, and good luck this week, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for taking the time to let me come on the show and talk to your fan base. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man. We got to do it again. Yeah, absolutely. You have a great night.
All right, you too.
Appreciate you, Marcus. All right. That was Marcus of Bluff City Cowboys, man. He is very knowledgeable, loves his Dallas Cowboys, and obviously, as he mentioned, he is a NFL fan as well. So he just likes football, kind of like all of us, right? We all love football. So appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. We had a great crowd. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to all the comments, but I appreciate everyone who tuned in. I know we had some new people who tuned in later on in the show. We had Niner Game Wolfcast, Chris Hansen. Niner Sickness is leaving a lot of comments. I appreciate it. But yeah, man, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Appreciate the super chats that I got earlier on in the show. I think that was KD and Blue True. So I appreciate it. Hey, looking forward to the game this week. I think we do have our hands full with the Cowboys, but I think it's a star-studded, talented game. And hey, the weather is not going to be an issue this week. No rain, no severe wind, nothing like that. So it's going to be a sunny, sunny day on Sunday for 49ers and Cowboys. The rivalry is renewed. Can't wait for the game. I will see you guys in the next one. Feel free to hit that thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe before you head on out. And everyone have a safe week and a productive week. So once again, appreciate everyone for coming on, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Niners.